Did you ever think on how you get an airplane wing from here to there, getting it there with Daryl McAvena from Performance Management? We'll teach you all the little tricks. It's crazy, so stay tuned.
That's right. What's up, you sucker? What's up, you sucker? What you looking at?
Hey everybody, it's Bruno on NB, where it can't all be serious. This episode is brought to you by Performance Freight Management and Dream Reach Achieve, and we're gonna have a great time because our thumbnail says getting it there. And I'm here with Daryl McAvena. Daryl, what are we talking about getting it there? You get stuff across the world.
Yeah, so we do all kinds of shipping from small envelopes to big rigs. One of the most amazing shipments that we were involved with was getting a shipment that was a 30-foot treadmill out of Barrie, Ontario, 8 feet wide. It was about 36 inches high, had a 60 horsepower engine on it. It was about 12,000 pounds. Got a call from a movie production company, had to get it from Barrie, Ontario into the Calgary Film Center in Calgary. And then we had to use a picker truck. So getting it there on time with not only getting it all the way across Canada, had to pick it off, put it into the film center so they could do like a 2-hour shoot, pull it back out, put it back on the trailer, get it to Bowden, Alberta for a lesson with some wolves. So the treadmill was actually, had to be there on time for training these wolves on a treadmill. And I had no idea what the treadmill was for. So I get there and I see all these dogs and I'm like, what's going on? This is incredible. And someone taps me on the shoulder and goes, hey, are you the guy that got this here? And I said, yeah. And they said, you know what this is for? And I'm like, no, what is it? And it's a treadmill for wolves. And I said, oh, what are they going to do with it? Well, we're just going to try and get them comfortable with all the running on the treadmill. And we want to make sure that when we take them to the Calgary Film Center, that they're ready to do the filming for this TV show. And you've probably heard of it. It's a big HBO special #1 show in the world. And I'm like, oh, what's the name of it? Game of Thrones. And I'm like, no, I haven't heard of it.
You're like me, we don't watch TV, we work, right?
Yeah. So at that point, this is where PFM really got involved, because we actually not only got it off on our major trailer, we had to put it on ground, then we had to help connect it. So we had to power this thing up. 3 weeks later, we had to do the whole thing over again and bring it back out. And I was the only guy on site with my driver, because I was on site just trying to oversee the whole function. And I got a call from, he's an Australian buddy of mine that runs the whole production. And he's like, hey, Mac, we need you to get over there and get it set up. And we were already on site. He's an Australian guy, he was on his way. And so my team and I, we got everything laid out on this treadmill, got it plugged in, powered it up, and the production team showed up and they were about half hour late. They didn't have to do anything. And they're like, man, you guys got it here just in time, eh? And I'm like, oh, it's hooked up, ready to go. But ironically, having a 30-foot treadmill picker truck that has to actually lift this off and put it into exact place, level it off. We were dealing with some winds. It was top heavy because the 60 horsepower engine was about 1,000 pounds over on the balance point for a pivot, so it was dripping down. But once we got to see the wolves run on this thing, unbelievable. Yeah, it was.
So let me ask you a question. Like, obviously you didn't build it, but it was custom built?
Yeah, so it was a custom built 30-foot treadmill on another trailer so that they could tow it around. And so it was a green matted treadmill that went about 35 miles an hour. So when you powered this thing up,
wow,
it sounded like a jet engine. And it was pretty incredible. We've used that storyline for a lot of major newsletter promotions, marketing, and just telling the story of what we can actually accomplish. Because in reality, a lot of trucking or transportation or logistics companies may be able to truck it, but they might not be able to pick it or transfer it onto ground level. They might not actually get it to rig, meaning take it off and control it and balance it and level it off. Actually get it off the trailer. We had to unbolt everything and unstrap everything off, which was basically rigging again. So we had, basically we had the true care of the equipment. It wasn't just book the order and hope it gets there.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting about your field, and we've got to know each other a little bit, is just that there's really, you look at things and we take it for granted. Like, oh, there's an airplane wing. you know, and obviously they break, and you have to replace one from time to time, or, you know, with the big snowstorms and the hailstorm that we had out here. How in the world do you move that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's incredible. You talk about aviation. That's one of our kind of main cores that we focus on for competencies, is managing aviation. And aviation always has issues in flight. And you're talking about wings or engines. We had, you know, to move something like a wing or a winglet or an engine, we have to facilitate a heavy operator. So basically we have to control the transport of a heavy piece of equipment that can manage air suspension, air control, especially like a jet engine or the length of a winglet or a wing. They have to be traveled in safe order, because when it arrives, it has to get re-inspected. And usually you don't want to have another issue in transport when it arrives, because usually it's something they call aviation on ground. So what that means is aviation on ground means something's been grounded and it needs to get up in the air. So you and I could be sitting on the plane going, why are we not lifting off the ground? They're waiting for us to get the equipment there. So we have to use very, very key operating procedures for control and quality of shipping it. So we always have a dedicated driver that knows how to manage that stuff. But like jet engines alone, like there's 1 or 2 a month that are going down just due to like a goose or a bird in the engine.
That's scary, isn't it?
Very, yeah, very. So when I get an AOG call at, you know, whether, you know, it might be 5 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock at night, we know that there's a situation. It's not always dangerous or an issue. It could just be, you know, they could have a maintenance issue with a plug or something, but we have to react fairly.
So do you need, like, obviously with the wings, you need, you know, when you're driving on the highway, that extra wide load or something like that? Are they extra wide?
Oh yeah.
And the engines also, right?
You'd appreciate this quick story. I had to shut.
That's what we're here for.
I had to shut down Nebraska. So you know the Cornhuskers?
Oh, nice.
So we had to make a call for a wide load, high load, so over height load, and over weight load. So when we made the call down to Nebraska, we started doing basically our standard operating procedures for transport of wide or over dimensional loads. And what we found out is that due to the height of this load, we had to take some power lines down. So we actually had to shut the power off in the town. And so with the over height load, when I went to call down there and get some, well, it was my team was calling down there, but when we went to call and get the overview of what had to happen, they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to shut the town down, but you can't do it on a Friday. And we're like, why not? The Cornhuskers play.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
So the whole town, police, security, roads, everything is shut down. And so if we're going to shut down power in the city, it's not happening on a Cornhuskers game. So
Wow.
yeah, so that was a pretty interesting story. But that took it was about 210,000 pounds, that load, and it was 16 feet high. And then when it came to Canada, it was coming all the way to Medicine Hat. When it got to Medicine Hat, we had to do the same thing, where we had to deal with overhead lines and ensure, you know, turning radius and all that. So we had a scouted map, piloted, control of everywhere it was routed, so it was a safe manner. And obviously, there's shutdown times too, right? So if you got a wide load.
You know, years ago, in my past, what I did for a living in staffing, there was a fellow I interviewed. And he was a purchaser, and you know a lot about supply chain. And they were purchasing something for Marineland.
Yes.
I can't remember where Marineland is. It's in Ontario somewhere, just outside Toronto. And they purchased a whale, right? And obviously somebody has to transport the whale.
Absolutely.
Is that something, I mean, you guys could do that, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I did not move a bear, but I had a call to move a bear that was originally in Banff National Park, and something happened and they had to relocate it to Ontario. And so we actually went through all the logistics of planning the removal and extraction of the bear going from Ontario back to Calgary. But yeah, we have the ability to pretty much move everything. Like I said.
So where do you put the bear, in a cage?
Yeah, so it's in a controlled animal
How do you bring
compartment.
him over? You go,
Yeah, little meat. Oh no, they're plant. But no, yeah, you actually have to get them loaded into a container, and
Was that scary?
Well, we never actually did it. We just had to go through the process of. They didn't actually end up getting the bear here, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
But that was you always have to walk through the stages of how it's going to look. You know, loading it, unloading it. What are you going to transport it in? So yeah, there's a lot of components to it.
That's crazy. You know, I think we should have a new tagline for it. It's like, try us. Right?
Yeah.
Like, try us. And again, Daryl's with Performance Freight Management, who is a great sponsor of our network. And every time we speak to you, Daryl, we always get this like, no way, you didn't do that. Really? No, we did it. So it's great to have you on our show, but we're going to be bringing you back because we want to tell a few other crazy stories about not just your business, not just you. We're going to talk about the belt buckles. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But that's amazing, and we want to highlight some of the, incredible things that your company does. And if you want to get in touch with Daryl, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can get me at email daryl@pfmfreight.com, or you can check out our website at pfmfreight.com, and call number mobile 587-897-7379.
And just so that you know, all that stuff is going to be put in our description below. So click it, like it, move it, do whatever you want with it.
Ship it.
Ship it, yeah. Not just pound that subscribe and like, but ship it.
That's right.
If you're a real guy, So we're gonna have you back for the next time, and we're gonna, like a little teaser, we're going to talk about. We talked about animals a little bit. We're gonna talk about maybe one of your passions, and tie that into your business and all that kind of stuff. So tune in to talk about one of Daryl's passions, and I know that it is one of yours, so you're okay with that?
Absolutely.
All right, great stuff.